Hey guys, welcome back. Today we got a new 3D printer, but I'm kind of excited about this one because this is a budget printer that just about anyone can afford, and it seems like it has so much to offer for the price. So let's take a closer look. Alright, so this printer came from Amazon from a company called Sooway, and the model number of this printer is SW200. And the pretty awesome thing about this printer is that it's listed as Prime and the price of $159. So that seems like a really good bargain. Let's open this thing up and see what it looks like. So this is the box it comes in. It's relatively big, but not huge for sure. So this is a more of a smaller printer, but it's not tiny. The printing size on this bed here is quite large for its size. And also one of the best parts about it is that it is already assembled. All right, so let's see what we're looking at here. So it looks like we have an instruction manual here that greets us. Pretty cool. So we have a baggie of things in there, accessories, tools, things like that. All right, so it looks like we also have a box in here with feels pretty heavy. Okay, so that is the power adapter to the printer. So very nicely packed and presented here. All right, let's get this first part out here. Okay, it looks like there's something that came with it here. Oh wow, look at that guys, that is a spool holder. And it has bearings in it already. It's kind of cool that they actually printed this out for you. That way you have a nice little spool holder. So unfortunately it's not adjustable, so I don't think all spools will go on here, but I think most would fit with no issues because it's standard ones. So also we have a power plug here, US. So it looks like we're left with a couple more pieces here. Let's see if we can pull them out. Okay, so they're both connected together. So it looks like we have the base and then the top portion of it. All right, so that's it for the box. Let's get it out of the way. All right, so we got the printer out and it looks very nice. It's not very big, but the bed is still huge. Look at that. That's impressive. And just by looking at it, guys, I can see a lot of cool things about this printer. But we'll go over those in a second. Let's go ahead and put it together. All right, so it looks like we have 4 steps here to do. So step number 1 is insert the upper piece into the bottom and then tighten the bolts up. So hopefully you can see that guys, but it looks like it just sits right in here. So I think all we do, make sure this is not tangled here. Now there's like these little T-nuts here that we're gonna have to align a little bit. That shouldn't be too hard. And there it goes. And it's sat down all the way now. And so that's pretty much the main part of the assembly. I mean, it is definitely an assembled printer pretty much. So let's take a quick look at what we have here in the bag. So we have some high quality made in USA clippers here, very nice. Some test filament, and it looks like peach, sort of. Very interesting color. We get a USB cable to connecting to the computer, 2 gig micro SD card with an adapter, 4 Allen wrenches, and a wrench with 2 ends. And also we get some bolts and some zip ties. All right, so I'm gonna grab an Allen wrench here and I'm gonna go ahead and tighten these T-nuts here. So don't tighten these all the way yet. Start a little bit and then we'll have to go to the bottom. Here on the bottom, guys, you can see that there are 2 holes here. And we're gonna take the provided bolts, tighten these all the way. Actually, guys, don't tighten these yet. There's one more step we need to do. So everything is just kind of, you know, barely tightened at this point. So the next part we're gonna do, which is basically the last step here on the manual, it's very simple. So here on the bottom, we have like a 90-degree angle bracket, and it also has a T-nut behind there, and so we're gonna tighten that screw right there. So after that, you're gonna go back and tighten all the bolts here on the side, and then here on the front. On this printer, it appears that this rail here does not flex very much at all, so it should be already pretty straight, but make sure that your x-axis going this way is straight or 90 degrees to your y-axis. So if you have to move this thing around like this back and forth a bit to align it with the bed here, but just from assembling it, it sits really tight and there's no slop almost at all in it. And it appears to be very square with the bed. All right, so all we got to do next is connect the motor here, the Z-axis motor, and there's a little connector right there. And that's it. And we're done putting this thing together. That's pretty amazing. So now that we got it together, let's look at it in a little bit more detail. This thing has a lot to offer. All right, so as you can see, it's a great little package here. And the part that impresses me the most is how compact it is for the ability of what it could print. I mean, look at that bed size. That's pretty awesome. But we'll get to this thing in a second. Let's start from the top here. So on the top we have just a little end cap here, and there is a little bit of 3D printed parts on this printer. So here's one of them here on the top. So here in the back we can see we have the lead screw here going up. So here we have the X-axis assembly with the extruder gearing here, and that feels really good and strong. So we have the extruder motor here, and then the X-axis motor here. And here's something really interesting, guys. It comes with a filament detection sensor. Very cool. So we do have a nice full-size lead screw here going all the way down. So here we have the Bowden tube that runs into the hot end, and there's a pretty large fan up here in the front to blow the heatsink. And then we actually have a dedicated blower here on the side with a very nice little fan duct. You can see there that it has a cutout just for the right place to blow on the nozzle. And if we look down there at the nozzle, we have a silicone sock already around it. So this printer is coming with a lot of things that budget printers usually don't come with. So here we have a cap, and this cap is 3D printed also, and that's where the X-axis switch is, and you can kind of see the pulley there with the belt. So the X and the Z ride on rollers, but the interesting part is that the Y here on the bottom is on actually linear rails. Look at that. And let me just tell you guys right off the bat, it is very solid. So, and I think they went with the linear rails for the bottom here for that reason. They can have a ultra low profile, as you can see here, while still being extremely sturdy. And if we keep coming down, we can see that there is an adjustable bolt here that has a flat top, which is for the Z-axis switch. So you can adjust how high or how low your Z-axis switch by turning this bolt. Well, that's a pretty handy feature. So if we come down here from the bolt on top of the electronics here, you can see that there's a fan right there. Now, I don't know if that's going to be an issue of, you know, filament when you purge and whatnot getting in there, but we'll just have to wait and see. But either way, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but that's where it does cool off the electronics. Alright guys, so let's go to this bed now. So as you saw earlier, the bed is a great size. I mean, this is a huge bed for how tiny this printer is. You can see the printer and the bed. That in itself is impressive, but the other thing that I was not expecting at all is this. It's actually a magnetic bed. And it's a very nice one. It's like a really thin magnetic bed. And the cool thing about that is that if you ever, you know, damage this thing or wear it out, you just buy another one, pop it on there, and you're good to go. But the best thing about the magnetic beds, if you guys ever used one, is that whenever you're done printing, popping the prints off is extremely easy. So this printer is definitely a beginner's printer friendly, because not only is it easy to assemble as you saw there, but it has all these friendly features. And so if we go into the bottom of the bed, you can see we have very large knobs to adjust it. And so the bed actually has a frame here, this metal frame, and then there's springs between another metal frame, and then we have that linear bearing right there, you can see, that rides on that rail. And that's all the support that this bed has. But I can tell you just by moving around, it's extremely rigid. So that should not be any issues, especially being a magnetic bed here, because you don't have to like put so much pressure getting your prints off and whatnot else. You can be really nice to the bearing there, you know, by just popping this off and getting your prints off. So I feel like this design is definitely more than adequate for this bed size and the way it's designed. And here on the other side, we can see that is where the belt is. And then going to the back here, we have the Y-axis switch here, and then we got the motor here. And then all of our cables run here in the back in the electronics there. And you can see the cable management on this thing is excellent also. Left side of the printer here, we can see this is where we have all of our connections. So we have the power connection here, and then we have the USB connection. And this is where we're going to put the micro SD card in. So very nice and convenient here right on the side of the printer. So overall, just an impressive printer, guys. And so to top it all off, this printer also has, looks like to be a touchscreen LCD. So let's go ahead and peel this off here. It's not huge, but it's definitely big enough, you know, to navigate. We're going to check it out a little in depth here in a little bit. But yeah, this thing is just blowing me away of what it has to offer. So I'm super excited to plug in this thing in and checking out our first print. Because if we can get a reasonable print out of this thing, I'm going to give this thing 2 thumbs up, because I think this would be a huge deal for a lot of people, because this is very affordable. And I don't think there's any kind of competition for this thing at the moment. So I'm very excited to see how the prints come out on this thing. Alright, so let's go ahead and give this thing some juice. And this is where the power adapter comes in here. So it's a 12 volt, 10 amps. And here's one of the interesting things about it is you have a little power on and off plug right here. Very cool. I really like that. And the reason I like that is because I don't have to unplug the printer manually either from the socket or the back there when I want to turn it off. So I have a dedicated switch here. Very nice that they put that in there. So after you plug it in the wall, you get a little light here indicating we have power. And then all we got to do is here on the side of the printer, plug it in into the power socket. And that's it. We should be good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the power button here. I can hear the fans. The screen loaded. So as you can see, guys, it didn't take long from opening it from the box to powering on and getting ready for printing. So I'm going to power it up and we can see what the greet screen looks like. And there we go. And that's what our UI looks like here. Very interesting. I love the design. It's like a dark background with a white options. Very cool. So here we have a preheat button, looks like. So these are all the different things we can do. We have the move button, pretty cool. And here looks like we have a selection of how much we want to move. Pretty awesome. So here we have a home button. So let's go ahead and click that and see if the printer homes. But before we do that, I want to make sure that the bed's not going to get hit by the nozzle. So I'm going to unscrew this quite a bit here. And let's go ahead and hit home here. Okay, so we got more choices here. So we're just going to click all. Alright, so X, Y, and now Z. And there's the Z. So we're actually pretty good there on the bed. So it's a good thing I screwed that a little bit. So yeah, make sure you unscrew that quite a bit before you home it. So here we have print. We have no SD card in there at the moment. So the next button we got here is extrude. And here we can control the extrusion, putting the filament in and out. So here we have the leveling of the bed. Oh, look at that. And we have 4 points, actually 5 points. That's the center. So we got 4 corners and the center. We're going to be using this in a second to level the bed. All right, the next part we got is settings. And look at that, guys. Looks like this printer has Wi-Fi and a cloud. Very interesting. All right, fan control looks like. So I'm guessing that is the control for this fan right here. So let's go ahead and hit 100. And there we go. The fan actually comes on. So let's go to 0. So here we have change filament, so we can load and unload. So this is if we lose power, I guess we can continue. I'm guessing that's what that's for. So here we have motor off, so I guess this is, turning off the stepper so you can move it by hand. And then we have language, which is nice that they put English as the default one. And here you can see all the different ones that they have. And that's it for this menu. So here we have more, and there's nothing here. Alright, so that is everything. Very cool. So let's go ahead and level the bed. So we're going to click on level here, and we're going to go to 0.1. Alright, so 0.1 is way over here. Alright, so I'm just going to use a post-it note here, and looks like we need to go up quite a bit. So maybe before I do the knob adjusting here, I probably need to, since I picked up my home too high, I need to go down some on that. So I'm going to go ahead and screw this in a little bit. So let's do home again. So hopefully you can see that, guys. That's much better there. So I think we can work with that. So yeah, you do have the option of using that knob here to get more of a rough estimate. And then you can use the knobs under the bed here to fine tune it. So let's go back to our bed leveling and get our post-it note. Alright, so 1 feels pretty good. Just leave it like that for now. Let's go to 2. Okay, so it's definitely off for some reason. I thought maybe that was the case because 1 was way over here and 2 is way over there. So it looks like maybe the bed leveling program here is for a larger printer. I guess what we can do is we can just manually do it. So we're going to go over here in settings, and then we're going to turn off the motor steppers, and we should be able, there we go. So we're just going to go ahead and do our manual leveling here. So that's probably something in the software there. Alright, that feels really good right there. So I'm just going to go around, level the whole thing, and then I can't wait to do our first print. Alright, so the bed is leveled. Let's go ahead and take this SD card out here. So we get a little reader here, USB adapter, and here we have the SD card, and it comes in a little case. Alright, so let's plug it in here on the side, and it does go the right side up, looks like. See if we can click on print here. Alright, so we do have a test G-code and a couple files here, I guess, about the printer. Alright, so if we click on this, and then we can confirm the print. But we cannot print yet until we load our filament. So let's do that next. So let's go ahead and just preheat the nozzle here. Let's go to change filament. I think that's where we need to go. Okay, so we need to load filament. Alright, so now it should be heating up. And there it goes. We can see it's starting to heat up. So I'm going to grab my peachy filament here. And let's go ahead and feed it through here. And you can guys hopefully can see how they filament detection works there. So it's a mechanical switch, and then we'll push it into the extruder, and then we'll push it down the tube into the hot end. Alright, so it looks like it's done. Let's say confirm to start loading. Okay, so it's pulling it in automatically, looks like, guys. So it says filament load complete. Alright, confirm. There we go, extruder. So we can push it 5 millimeters at a time here. So in. Okay, so I just did 15 millimeters. Okay, so every time I click that, the extruder extrudes it. Alright, so we got our filament in there and then push some of this white out of there. Let's go ahead and see what's on the SD card and see if we can print something here. So it looks like we have a test, print model, confirm. The G code is just called test G. So here we have the hot end and it's warming up. And if you haven't noticed, guys, this printer does not have a heated bed. It's a non-heated bed, which is not a big deal. So let's go ahead and see what kind of options we have here. So here's all the options we have. We can pause it, stop it, change the temperature, change filament, and we got more, fan, the speed of the print, and something manual here. Alright, so let's go back. So it should start printing. It's going to 215. It's kind of hot. Alright, hopefully our bed leveling is alright. Maybe it's alright. It seems to be sticking so far. Okay, it's actually printing pretty quick. But it looks like everything is good to go, and it's going. Kind of surprised I've had the speed on the first layer there. That seems to be too fast for me. I think I'd like it if it was a little slower than that, especially on that first layer. But we did not use glue or anything, guys, and it seems to be holding up pretty good there. Very interesting. So we can see that it's already 3% done, so this shouldn't take too long, and we'll see what it turns out to be like. Alright guys, so it's done printing and it looks like a fish. So it took 39 minutes and 27 seconds. Pretty awesome. So I guess we click here and that's it. And we still have plenty of filament left. I'm going to shut it down. Let's take a closer look at this thing. And also we can check out this magnetic bed. That is so cool that it comes with a flexible magnetic bed. Definitely loving that. So if we just bend this thing a bit, it comes right off. And I was really surprised that it stuck on right away and I didn't have to tweak the bed at all. So it seems like whatever material this is sticks pretty well. And we don't have any issues with retraction or anything funny at all. So I'd have to say this is a very successful first print. So I'm going to go ahead and print a bunch of other stuff and then we can kind of look at it. But so far it's extremely impressive. Alright, so I printed quite a few things here, and overall I've been having a very good experience with this thing, and more fun to use than I thought it would be. So after I printed this fish here that you guys saw already, I printed a couple slugs here out of that same filament, and you can see, guys, how well that turned out. Obviously they're flexible and everything is perfect, so the quality that this printer produces is pretty amazing. So the kids love these little slugs, so I went ahead and just printed 2 of those and used up the rest of the filament. So after that, I thought, why not print a benchy to kind of give us a little idea of what we're looking at. And I've never printed a benchy in silver because silver is very revealing, but let's look at this one here and we can kind of, guys, see, you know, what this printer is capable of. Now here we can kind of see we have a couple little, they're very minor. The silver really exaggerates the lines, but they are there a little bit. But if we look at the details and even at the reflection here, you can see how accurate this printer is. And if we look at the overhangs, they're very good. I mean, look at that arch right there. That's impressive. So it has good cooling. So nothing too weird, very nice looking and not droopy anywhere or anything funny. So overall, it's great. Can it be a little better? Yes, but for out of the box, it was a great result. So after I printed the benchy, I wanted to print something a little bit more interesting, something different that I've never printed. So this is where these 2 little porcupine things come in. But the issue with them is they're not finished, both of them. So what happened was the first one, it just randomly stopped printing when it got to here. So I got a little confused and didn't know exactly what happened. So I just restarted the print and printed another one, and it stopped exactly at the same spot. And that's when I realized it was probably my G code that I sliced was corrupt or whatever. Something happened to the G code that it just randomly paused right there, and they're both exactly the same. But the good part is we can still look at them up close here, and you guys can see the quality of this printer. And check out that bottom, guys. And this printer delivers pretty much everywhere. And look how clean those holes are. Very nice. So even though these were a fail, I was happy to see that the printer has very, very good accuracy. And by the way, all these holes and everything, that's for toothpicks to go in. And that's what the porcupine's for, is to hold toothpicks. So after the porcupine, I did have a little bit more time and I went ahead and printed a Vader here. And I printed him in white instead of black. Kind of curious of how he would look like. And check that out, guys. He turned out very well overall. So hopefully there you can kind of see the reflections. So the layering is very well overall, but if we look at here on the front where he's really more detailed, you can see all the details are there. And this did print with supports, which popped off pretty easily. And there was a bunch of them here, obviously, and under the hat here, or the helmet. This is what this guy turned out to be like. And again, a perfectly clean bottom. So overall, this printer has proved itself to be a very capable printer right out of the box. So I really think this printer will appeal to anyone that is starting out. This seems to be an amazing deal of everything you would want in a printer. Now with that said, there is a few upgrades that you could do and might need to do if you want to get, fine tune it in a little better and even get better prints. And one of the things that we did not do that normally I like to check is I like to check these rollers that they're not too tight or too loose, which it's not too loose, but it might be too tight. The Bowden tube here seems to be holding on pretty well, but I did see it move just a tiny bit, but we don't have any kind of retraction problems. And this Benchy proves it here. So the only potential issues I see is that this leveling screw for the Z-axis could vibrate a little bit back and forth maybe. I mean, it's pretty stiff in there, but it does move quite easily. So you might want to mark it, or put a little bit of dab of glue or something there where it doesn't move around easily. And another thing is the fan under here, under the bed, where I showed you guys earlier, because whenever this homes, it goes right over the holes there of the fan, and that fan actually sucks air in, so it does throw the filament down into the electronic boards. So maybe a simple little print mesh or something, or just something under there to prevent little pieces and even big pieces falling in. But that's honestly the only real issues I see. Other than that, everything seems to work good. The filament detection guide here never triggered through any of the prints, so that seems to work great. So one of the things that impressed me the most about this printer is the bed here. Not only is the size huge, it's 180 by 180 by 180 tall. So you got a very, very good printing size. Honestly, if this was my first printer, I would be extremely happy with everything that it offers. Also, being the magnetic bed here is a huge plus. It makes it very easy to pull prints off. So overall, I'll have to give this printer a big thumbs up. And I think it's one of the best values at the moment, at least on Amazon Prime, that you can get right now. So I'm going to leave some links in the description for this printer. And if you're interested in them, go check that out. And hopefully you enjoyed this video. And if you did, then hit that like button. And if you like videos like this and you're not subscribed to this channel, I do a lot of printer reviews here. So hit that subscribe button to see more. And also guys, stay tuned for another update video with this printer where I'll print a lot more things. And maybe we'll do a few little upgrades and things like that. So stay tuned for that. And as always guys, thanks for watching and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.